Call this meeting to order. Verification of agenda posting, please, Brian.
Okay. The agenda was posted on Friday, June 16th, 2017 at 8:59 a.m.
Okay, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America. Okay, roll call, please.
Chris Alvarez.
Here.
David Huboy.
Here.
Gabriel Torres. Carolyn.
Okay, we have no minutes to approve. And then we have, this is the time we have communications from the public of items not listed on the agenda. It's a time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter of the Planning Commission. When the Planning Commission calls your name, please come to the podium and speak to the Commission. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Do we have any speaker cards?
We do not, Chairperson Lenore.
All right, so we have an announcement.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Under the California Political Reform Act, the Government Code Section 87103, the subject property of item number 1, Huboy Architecture, has a long track record of working on that project. And although it's been quite some time since we received compensation from the owner, due to the fact that the real property is involved, which the public official has a direct or indirect interest of at least $2,000, regardless of the time consideration, I must recuse myself for conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you coming tonight and letting us know that.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll miss you. Okay, so moving on to the first public hearing, the only public hearing, Site and Architectural Review 2017-2. The applicant is Chispa. The applicant is requesting a site and architectural for the construction of 49 one-bedroom affordable senior apartments on a 1.2-acre site. This approval will also include approximately 2,688 square foot residence room on the first floor for the seniors living in the residential multifamily development, to include a computer center, a fitness room, laundry room, and kitchen. The common terrace would be located above the residence room on the second floor. It's located in an R4 HPZ high-density residential performance overlay zoning district. It's located at 560 Line Street. Okay, the zoning allows for up to 35 units per acre. The proposed residential development is affordable and age-restricted for seniors only, which qualifies for a density bonus in the Hollister Municipal Code. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes, you may. Community Housing Improvement System and Planning Association's ENC, CHISPA, is requesting site and architectural approval for the construction of 49 affordable senior apartments on a 1.2-acre site consisting of one building up to 3 stories tall. The site plan illustrates that the project will include landscape, new walkways, a common center with patio courtyards, fitness center, computer center, parking, ADA accessibility, and 2 driveways, one on Line Street for emergency access only, and one on West Side Boulevard. As you mentioned, the proposed project is consistent with the high-density residential designation of the general plan, R4 HPZ high-density residential performance overlay zoning district. The apartment building consists of 49 units. The first floor illustrates 19 one-bedroom units with corridors, 1 laundry room, fitness center, computer center, residence room, and a common courtyard. There will be a set of stairs at each end of the corridors in the building and one set in the middle with an elevator. The second floor illustrates 19 one-bedroom units with a common terrace of approximately 2,688 square feet. The third floor illustrates 19 one-bedroom units. Each unit will have private space, balcony. The building will face the south and will measure up to approximately 42 feet to the top. The apartment building will have 4 feet fence along West Side Boulevard and Line Street with ADA access to the main building and a crosswalk along Line Street. The proposed project will have full security system, surveillance inside and outside the apartment building. Parking. The site plan illustrates 2 driveways, one on east and one on the west property, leading to the parking area. The parking area will include 49 parking spaces, including 4 ADA accessible with a barrier-free ADA accessibility path of travel to the apartment building. 1 covered parking space per unit is required for senior projects per section 17.18.080 of the municipal code. Project proposed no covered parking as a concession allowed under section 17.04280 of the municipal code.
Can you stop right there?
Yes.
Tell me about that exception in the covered parking. What does it say in the municipal code? The exception to that.
So the exception for that is because it's 100% affordable and it's for seniors, and they're providing the same parking requirement as the 49 units. Instead of having a density bonus for parking, in some cases you'll have more units and less parking, but in this case they're providing the full 49 parking spaces for the 49 units.
And they're okay. And they're not required to be covered
They don't require to be covered, that's correct.
in any case, or is it just this development? I just have to know this before you keep going.
Sure, Madam Chair Lenore. Yes, so for multifamily, it's not required. It's not required to be covered. For seniors, our code indicates that it should be a covered space, but because they are doing 100% affordable, the state density bonus requirements, which is the same density bonus that the city council adopted, allows for a concession, basically to allow for leniency to allow for the affordability of projects to be developed or improved in the city, to be concessions to allow for leeway.
The affordability.
Correct, and because it's 100% senior and 100% affordable, one of the concessions is that they remove the covered parking requirement. For the multifamily, if it wasn't a senior, there's no parking. There's no covered parking requirement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I wanted to ask that before.
I'm glad you asked because
Thank you.
it clarifies that to me
Okay.
as well.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Landscaping. The submitted site plan set indicates vegetation screens to the neighboring residents to the west and east, consisting of red vine, purple vine, London plane tree, Mongolian tree, and some of the other trees that are on the screen, as you guys could see. Density bonus. Pursuant to Hollister Municipal Code Section 17.04.080, a state density bonus for construction of affordable and senior housing, the applicant is proposing 49 units, utilizing a density bonus of 40%, 20% for affordable housing, and 20% for senior housing. Parking. Pursuant to Hollister Municipal Code Section 17.18.060, requires 0.50 spaces per unit for guest parking. The applicant is proposing no guest parking as the project is close proximity to public transit and is 100% affordable in conformance with the Section 17.18.090. Usable open space. Pursuant to Hollister Municipal Code Section 17.04.030, residential general development standards, each unit is required to provide 500 square feet of private open space. Usable open space. The applicant is proposing 300 square feet of usable open space and is requesting the waived of the above development standard as the project does not require as much usable space as multifamily housing. The project is located with close proximity to public park, approximately 0.25 miles away. And the project is providing 64 square feet of balcony per unit, 2 separate courtyards of 400 square feet, and a roof terrace of 2,688 square feet, and a residential room of 12,000 square feet as well.
1,200 square feet.
Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving the site and architectural application number 2017-6, subject to the findings and the conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions for
Yeah, I
staff?
got a question regarding the 0.5 spaces. Is that per unit, 0.5 spaces
0.5 spaces per unit
for the guest parking?
for guest parking,
Okay.
correct.
And that was waived.
It has not been waived. They're not proposing any guest parking, and the applicant is here to explain a little bit more about the parking requirements and how some of the other projects that they have developed in different cities
Okay.
don't.
Just to be clear, that's against the Hollister Municipal Code, correct?
Let me check on this right now. Just one second. Yeah, so the Hollister Municipal Code requires 0.50 spaces per unit for guest parking.
Okay, thank you.
And the applicant is proposing no guest parking as is in proximity to public transit and is 100% affordable.
Thank you.
Yes, just to follow up with that, Commissioner Rosa, the Hollister Municipal Code also indicates that when there is a residential project that is being proposed in close proximity to a public transit, that the parking can be reduced. And in this case, the public transit is currently located about, less than a fifth of a mile, I believe, along 4th Street. And so that's part of it. And the other part of it is because it's 100% affordable, it's part of the concession that they're asking for as well. And regarding the public transit, the applicant has talked to staff and also with San Benito County Council of Governments, who are basically the lead agency that reviews and approves location of transit, public transit. And so because there is an existing transit location on 4th Street in close proximity, one of the things that Chispa, the applicant, is willing to do in conversations with the city and San Benito Council of Governments is to actually improve the transit location from its current stage of it just being a stop to a covered area with a bench for people to wait and for as an option for seniors to be able to walk and wait for pickup and
Sit down.
The other thing that San Benito County Council of Governments offers as well is dial-a-ride. So they can actually dial-a-ride and the transit would be able to pick them up on the site. As Christian mentioned, there is going to be 2 driveways. On Line Street, it's only for emergency vehicle access only. However, through Westside Boulevard, it's going to be gated, but there will be a requirement that for like transit, they were able to use the code so they can come in and wait for them to come in and be able to get picked up at the site, and that's a service that they offer. San Benito County Council of Governments through the transit public transit agency. Yes, and just to reiterate, as you know, last year we went through a few planning commission meetings for the housing element update, and also city council meetings, and both joint city council and planning commission meetings. As you know, the state housing and community development requires that the cities don't necessarily build, but at least plan for a certain amount of housing each housing element period. In this case, it's an 8-year period, and the allocation number that we received was about 1,300 units that we should be at least planning for. and not just regular units, as we've been seeing out there, but also for above moderate, below moderate, low income, and extremely low income. And this project has been committed to provide for 100% senior, and also extremely low and low. Extremely and low. Yeah, and as you know, right now the city of Hollister's average, and our housing element experts not here, but my recollection is that it's about $81,100 for a family of four, which is extremely high for area medium income. And I believe, off the top of my head, and I believe low or extremely low is, I think, 24% of that. So we have an extreme need. Our community has an extreme need, and essentially that's standard Social Security payments, really, and that is what's going to be essentially offered with this proposal. I wanted to cover that. If there's any other questions, please let us know.
There's no sidewalk extension on the west side?
On West Side Boulevard, Commissioner Alvarez? There will be a requirement for dedication of, I believe it's 24 feet, Christian, or 40 feet. There is a requirement. There is going to be a requirement for the extension. However, as you know, Commissioner Alvarez, not all of West Side Boulevard has been extended. As you see, right next door to the going northbound, there's a Korea project, the Korea property, and so that goes onto West Side Boulevard. That's still within the that's going to go beyond the 24 feet, or where is it, 40? I believe it was 40 feet. Yes, thank you. So that's going to go beyond, but their requirement, Commissioner Alvarez, is going to be for the dedication and the improvement. So we will be required that they fully improve the in this case it's the west frontage of their site.
The east side of Meridian. I mean the east.
Correct.
East
so it's the east side of West Side. The east side of West Side Boulevard.
Right.
The west side of the.
So it's going to go all the way through.
Correct. At least through their frontage. I know this is not a public hearing for the project next door, but as you recall, not too long ago, the property right to the north also got a site and architectural approval for multifamily, and part of our discussions with the applicant was to hopefully go in together with the property next door to be able to do the improvements on West Side Boulevard, the 40 feet, the dedication and improvements. However, at this point, it is our understanding that the property owner next door has not been able to move forward with his entitlements, Mr. Correa. So at this time, he's indicated that he's not been able to. However, if within the span of the pending approval of the senior projects, within that span, if they're able to collect their funding, we will make sure that, it's in their both best interests to do it all at once. However, if it doesn't, then the 40 feet will basically be extending onto West Side Boulevard, and it will stop at the property next door. And David is here from engineering; he can explain a little bit more. But more than likely, the road going northbound, the lane will continue, and there will probably be more than likely a deviation of a line deviating the vehicles as the mouse kind of indicates on the plan, instead of going straight ahead, because there's going to be Mr. Correa has it fenced off at this time. But it will be fully improved along the project site, which is basically on the east side of West Side Boulevard.
Jeez, but there's a gap.
Yeah.
So what kind of surface are they walking on at that point?
Unfortunately, yes.
The side of the road?
Yeah. So that's where that's the concern. The hope is that the property or the residents of the the development walk along Line Street and use Line Street to go to towards the north, and then as discussed and as part of one of the conditions of approval, along the south side of Line Street and Fifth, be able to put a crosswalk. But that's going to be, we'll be reviewing that with the engineering department to make sure that that's the best location, so that way they're able to walk over from Sacred Heart Church at that point to the library, to the farmers market, as part of,
So they might normally gravitate towards Line Street and then go north. Maybe
Yes.
that's how they're doing it.
Yes, that's
Out of
that
the
would
Palm
that would be the
Court area.
safest. Correct. That would be the safest route to services to the north, as opposed to going to West Side Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be
they do have a nice walkway the other way.
correct.
So,
Correct, but it's just that if and it's not just the Korea property. There's another
Yeah.
property right to the north of the Korea property, and unfortunately, there's a house on that area. I don't know how that. It's in the old town. It's an older home, so that's going to be a little bit more difficult. I mean, it's not that it can't be done. That lot is large enough to where it can be relocated, but I mean, at this point, as projects are developed, that's when we put in the requirement for dedication and improvement. Yes.
I'm just concerned that,
Sure.
you take the path of least resistance. They're going to walk along,
Yeah.
or, somebody visiting them, hopefully that all gets developed over there and they'll start, that's my main
I'd
concern.
sure like to see a blacktop pathway, though. In the
Yeah,
meantime.
something, to connect
Something
with
to
that.
define it. I
Um,
don't know if the city could help out there.
That's, one of my concerns.
Yeah, that's a good concern. Any other questions before I open the public hearing? I do have some requests of the applicant, but I'm going to wait until they come up and talk.
No, I'm good. I'm just good.
We could have had you scoot over.
Good to see you.
There you go. Do you have any more comments or questions
No, I do
for
not.
now?
For now, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll open the public hearing up at 6:25. Do we have a speaker card? Applicant?
We do not.
Okay, but if the applicant could come forward, I don't know if you want to speak first about your project, but I had some questions, had some comments.
Good evening, Madam Chair, member of the Planning Commission. I'm Alfred Diaz-Infante, President and CEO of Chispa. With me this evening is Sunny Flores from CSDC, our partner in this development. And then to my left is Dana Cleary. She's our Director for Real Estate Development at Chispa. She can answer a lot of more detailed questions with respects to the finances that we've been putting together to make this project come together. And then as well, our architect, Paul Davis, is with us. He can answer questions that are related to the architectural design and features. I'm not sure how much you know about Chispa, but just really briefly, we've been in business for 37 years. We have our own construction company. We have our own property management company. And then our umbrella company is our development company. We've been doing this, again, for 37 years. Then we have an active community services program, and I believe Dana handed out some brochures, and I'll speak a little bit more about that in terms of what we have in mind for the Sunrise Apartments. As was mentioned by your staff, the development we're proposing is consistent with the zoning. The density bonuses are allowed according to your zoning codes and the state codes. The property is within the priority infill area. In fact, this is one of the reasons we thought, wow, this is really exciting development, because we can really satisfy some of the city's needs with respects to developing within, infill sites. It also addresses the needs with respects to the elderly, which is called out in your general plan. They're listed as special needs. We have 5 developments that we have developed, own, and manage, a total of 237 units of senior housing. In total, we own and manage 1,400 units, so we have quite a bit of experience in property management. Your general plan also allows the adjustment in some of the development standards that were mentioned by Abraham in terms of the parking, in terms of the open space. Those are the type of allowances that are allowed within your general plan. And in addition, the original plan and your zoning code also allows for the streamlining process. So we really, really want to thank you and the staff for having a special meeting for allowing this to happen. We're under kind of a tight time frame in that the majority of the funding that we will be using to build this comes from low-income housing tax credits, and there are only 2 rounds available, or 2 opportunities each year. And so that second opportunity this year is at the end of this month in June. And as was mentioned by Abraham, the 49 units will help address the affordable housing that's called out in your regional housing needs allocation, particularly for the lower income. We have units, and I'll ask Dana maybe to speak to that, units that are at the 30% of the area median income level. We have units also at the 40% of the area median income level, then units at the 50% of the area median income level. I think quickly in terms of the services, that's something that is really important for us, is that we not just provide housing, safe housing for seniors, but we have a place where they can be really active, independent living. We have already an agreement with the YMCA. The YMCA has agreed to provide exercising programs, and you can see a picture up there of some of the programs that we currently have at our other senior complexes. The other program that the YMCA has agreed to provide on site is going to be diabetes education. And typically what happens once the families or the residents move in, our community services manager will meet with the residents and ask them, what would you like to see? In fact, what will typically happen is that she'll meet with them and show them our brochure, and then the residents get to see, wow, you have a guitar that we'd like to see guitar. We really want the residents to own the programs that we have there. So we really want us to be an active community, not just affordable, but really an active community of seniors who really have a place where they feel safe and they feel like, they can be active. So we bring programming to the properties as well. And we'll bring others to speak to the seniors in terms of what other interests they may have. So that's my summary. We're here to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I got a question. Regarding the 2,000 square foot terrace, what's the main purpose of that area?
That's architect's question.
All right.
Good evening. I'm Paul Davis, architect. We've tried to, in all of our facilities with CHISPA, to provide as much as we can in terms of active area. And that allows, it's basically a sun deck. It's over the roof of the, if you can see it in the middle. You can see below that lower area in the middle is the community room, the offices, the exercise room. And so we've taken advantage of that whole roof to be a terrace. So people can go out there and sun, sit, conversation. Part of it has a trellis over it for protection from the sun. It's south facing, and it's protected around from wind, so it's just a nice area for people to kind of a patio, a large patio terrace for all the residents. I just might comment a little bit more. There's 49 units. But we've kept, as going back to the other rendering on Line Street and on West Side, we've kept a 2-story facade along those streets here. And you can see the street facade has 2 stories with balconies that are recessed with trellis over them. There'll be light flower boxes around the railing for color and for interest for the residents. And then there's a little 1-story porch that is kind of in the middle. That is the end of the corridor, so that is kind of the front porch for guests coming and going. That's on Line Street, and the same frontage occurs on the on West Side as well. So the facade is broken up, and the 3-story then is more in the middle, wrapping around. So it has less impact on the visual from the street. So
you're saying the corridors have natural light through them?
At the ends, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And also down in between, there are areas where there's a lot of natural light. So we get away from the linear, long, dark.
So that kind of leads me into my next question. As far as sustainable devices like solar panels or anything like that, was that taken into consideration on this project?
Very much. Our whole intent is to do as much as we can to get towards a zero net energy, which is the trend. And so we use mostly all electric heat, so then that can be mitigated by the photovoltaics that can make up for that by the providing of energy through the meters and bring that energy down close to zero. As well as the insulation, I believe here, as in most properties, where our whole energy savings over Title 24 is about 26% over what we have to do. So we're saving that much. That'll be refined, but we're doing everything we can in terms of Energy Star rated appliances and windows, extra insulation, and then again this heat process so that we can mitigate the energy with the photovoltaics that are on the roof.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yes. I do have some questions. The roof, for me, I struggled on it. It's so plain looking. I didn't know what you could do, if you could put some vents up there. They're so plain, and it's kind of flat. It's not a thing like this. It's relatively flat up there, and I just thought it was looks a little retro for me. My other comment is the ornamental iron is just not ornamental. It's a vertical. It doesn't have any. I'd like to see something that had some out to it or some twist to it. This to me just looks like jail with those kinds of horizontal vertical bars. Vertical bars. I didn't know if that's just a standard. I don't really like that. And my last comment is, what size is the trellis lumber that comes off of there? What size are those?
Okay. Let me go question by question, but let me just check the drawings a little bit.
Okay.
So
I tried to find that, but I'm not a whiz at reading building plans.
Actually, the roof pitch is 5 and 12, which is pretty steep, and it looks flat there because you're looking up at it in line. In other words, as you're standing out in the street, you're looking up, so you're not really seeing the shape. If you look at the elevations, maybe the elevations could be put there. It's a 5 and 12 roof. It'll have.
It's just, now go back to that one there. Go back.
Okay.
See how that is? There's nothing up there.
It's because, in fact, there will be some flat panels on part of it for photovoltaics. We try to keep all of our vents to the back side of the ridge so they're not seen. But it's not a flat roof. If you go to the section,
some pictures are more flattering than others. Is probably too.
If you look at the cross section, you can see that it is a 5 and 12, and it'll have a heavier texture composition shingle to it. So there you don't see in that, because you're looking at it in a line, that it will have texture.
All right.
And along the edge of it, going back to that elevation, there'll be balconies with the trellis over the top.
It looks like the eave is casting that shadow, making it look flat.
Yes, that's what it is. You're looking in almost the same plane as the roof. What this was to show is that you won't see much of the 3-story behind because the 2-story screens it. Okay. But actually, it is a steeper roof.
So
those trellises are 3x4s at 12 inches on center.
But how big is that lumber coming off right there? What's that size lumber right there?
Well,
the actual thing jutting off, whatever you call that.
Well, the large beam is.
It's a 4 by something.
The large beam is a 6x8, but there are 3x4s that are spaced.
So they're 3x4s?
Yes.
I'm struggling with the blunt cut on the 3x4s. I'm not a blunt cut person. I like to see a cut or a cut. Just coming off square like that, I don't know. It just looks dated.
Well, it is more of a craftsman than that's just the design. We can certainly put we can put more detail on the end of it.
I'm looking for more detail. I really struggled with this when I opened it up.
Yeah.
Because you see new, I'm not trying to be rude to you. I'm not, but I just know what I like, and I think I know it looks good. And to me, this looks like a building in the 70s.
Well, I think maybe you don't see the modulation of those decks are all recessed back.
Okay.
So you get a lot of shadow pattern.
The color is already set. I understand the residences were fond of the brown color. They were kind of leaning towards that. And they preferred that color. I mean, if they prefer that color, I guess they're looking at it. I'm not.
I think the colors.
This color here.
The colors are a combination of light tan above where it's the siding texture, and then the plaster has the more of an light olive green that kind of blends into the trees.
Well, if that's what they like. I mean, it's in their neighborhood.
We wanted to make it look like it better fit into the Line Street neighborhood because of the houses, the older houses. And the trellis work and the breakup of the massing of the building. In terms of the railings, I agree. They're simple, straightforward railings. I think you're going to see along the frontage of the street what's going to be dominant are the planters, because those are planters that are on the outside face of the railing, and they're going to have color and greenery and so forth. So you're going to see that, and you can I think you can see it at both levels. You can see the flower boxes. We can look at a detail on the end of those little outriggers of the trellis. That's fine. And
something other than it's just a straight cut.
And on the end of it, we can vary the cut.
Yeah.
On that right end corner there, where it sticks out on the beam, that can have a detail on it too.
Anything you can do, that would be good. And then I just want to recommend that you use the biggest trees you can out there, because I'd like to see a more mature tree in the front, not a little 5-gallon tree. I want like a 24-gallon tree. But I'd like to see the landscape, the trees come in a little bit bigger so that they do get some growth there. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I'm very excited for this project, so don't think that I'm not.
Yeah.
I just want it to look nice.
Well, it is our desire to work with the neighborhood and work with the city. So
you have worked with the neighborhood, so I do thank you for that.
The city feels comfortable that we're not imposing upon the.
We certainly need
family.
it. So I always want to compromise when I have this kind of a project.
Sure. Because
it's more important that it gets built. But I just wanted to voice my opinion because that's why I'm here.
Thank you. I know there was a question on the right of that. There's that door.
I was wondering what is that? Is that the golf cart?
Yeah. Well, it's like a golf cart door. It's a maintenance. It's for the maintenance where they can put their lawnmowers, their wheelbarrows, and all that. But what we can do is we can make it like a pair of French doors.
That would even look nicer
in design.
Absolutely.
So that would really soften that impact. I think that's something we can do.
It would.
Should do.
I'm sure you might think of little things that you might be able to do and cost savings. I know it's an affordable project. I understand that. But it's there for perpetuity, so I want it to be solidly nice. You can always work on it, as you do things.
Sure.
Awesome. That's all I had.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Paul. Okay, come on up. You betcha. Public hearing's open. Come up. You're Kay, right?
Thank you for your time. I'm Dana Cleary.
Oh, Dana, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Rosa brought up the guest parking. And I just wanted to say that we're not unthinking of guest parking. We do. But our main focus is building housing, especially when there's so little infill sites available. But we base our decisions partly on projects that we've already done. So as Alfred mentioned, we've built 5 other senior developments, and we survey them every year as to the parking needs. So they were built according to the standards of the various cities where they are. Salinas, several of them are. And we have, my hair on my face, we have 237 senior units total. Of those, only 127 of our tenants have cars. And that's the way, that's on average over these 5 buildings. We think it's going to play out like that again. So even though we haven't dedicated guest parking, you noted that that was one of our concessions that we requested. We requested it because we think it's more important for us to house people than to house guest cars. It's really very important to us, we think. That's what we do, obviously, build affordable housing. We think it's also important to you. In the end, it would be too bad to have 2 fewer apartments and a bunch of empty guest spaces, which would be the case, because when we build these things, we work with tenants individually and encourage them to look at their budgets and to consider whether they really need to hold on to that car when they're in a unit like this. But even when we're not saying anything, when they just come in, they don't have cars very frequently. And this building is 100% project-based Section 8, which means we can take people really down to the very low income. And if you're very low income, a car is a bit of a luxury sometimes. So when it shakes itself out, one unit, one dedicated parking space per apartment, there are 49 spaces, and no guest parking, is still going to result in probably about 28% guest parking.
So maybe you can clarify something. Is each unit have a designated parking spot?
Yeah.
With their unit number?
Well, we do it that way because we do.
So nobody in other units can park in that spot, correct?
We discourage it. Now, because so many people don't have cars, we don't want Mrs. Smith in Unit A saying that the building, someone coming to visit the building can't park in her spot even though she doesn't have a car. We want it to be flexible enough for people to be able to come in. But we do have 1-to-1. We don't want people packing that place. They can't have 2 cars. They can't have 3 cars. And we take note of everybody's driver license plate, and we pay attention. That's why you have an on-site building manager.
Very well.
If this wasn't a senior, I would be more concerned with it than I am. But, we do try to watch out for the neighborhood when we're doing a project. They're also impacted by parking.
They are.
So
yeah.
I'm very sensitive to that because I live in a busy area where there's no parking. Now, we just added 7 units. I'll have even less. So projects do impact parking when it comes in.
They do.
And,
they do.
And,
That's
and
why
I like
we pay
to see
attention.
it addressed. But I guess they probably won't all be driving.
They won't
All
all
right.
be driving, based on our experience.
And
over
if
the
your
last-
demographics are saying that they don't utilize it all, then that's probably the case here as well.
I suspect
Yeah.
it will be.
Okay. What about anything else, Commissioner Alvarez?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You got Snickers? 3 stories, I'm having a problem with that. Seniors. If my mom's up at the top, power goes out, who's going to get her down? That's one of my concerns. That sidewalk on the west side, them not being able to walk along that way, I have a problem with that. I'll let you start at that one. We'll just go along.
Yes, as shown in the staff report, there is an elevator, so elevators are definitely going to be used by a number of our residents. The sidewalk on West Side Boulevard, I understand that's a concern. Unfortunately, we don't control when the city is going to develop that street. We really focus on bringing services to residents as much as we can. And again, our experience is that adult children are the ones that will come and take, mom or dad to doctor's visits, to the pharmacy, to the grocery stores, or to other visits that they may have. But we really want this place to be an active place. In terms of the 3 stories, we were sensitive to that, as our architect Paul mentioned. The reason that we designed it so that, or he designed it so that we have 2 stories on both on Line Street and West Side Boulevard. And then it tapers up into a 3-story building. But the density is really important because it allows us to get the economies of scale that allows us to make this development financially feasible. Again, that's one of the reasons we were attracted to this property, is because of the language that you have in your zoning codes and general plan that allows for that to happen. That allows for higher densities, that allows for these adjustments and standards to basically kind of attract this kind of development, basically. And this is the kind of housing that we're going to see more often. I work on land use policies statewide, including here regionally, locally, and we're going to start seeing more 3- and 4-story buildings as more and more people are concerned about creating more growth and sprawling into, particularly in ag land. This is an ag community, just like we work in. Monterey County is an ag community, so we're starting to go up. And that's why we hire people like Paul Davis that are really sensitive to design, that we can design it so it's not just 3 stories going up, right, on each street. It's 2 stories, then it goes up to 3 stories. But I understand it's kind of new. It's not
The
often
corner
you see 3
has 3
stories.
stories now.
Oh, the
The
courthouse?
Palm Court,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's not senior.
No,
It's senior only.
Yeah.
That's what
but anywhere you're in a building with an elevator, it's the same situation. On Park Street, they got the elevator there across from the Rancho. All that senior housing in
Is
there.
that 3 stories though?
I think, well, it's 2, I guess.
I think that was 2. Yeah.
But what's the difference, 2 or 3?
If it's your mom up on top, there's a big difference.
But what's the difference
That's what
between
I'm
2
saying.
and 3?
That's a
It's
whole
an
flight of
elevator.
stairs.
It's an elevator.
I mean, I'm just.
Yeah.
We have to live here. We have
Oh,
to.
yeah, I know.
We have to,
But I mean,
answer to our.
and once it's up at 2 and 3,
constituents out there.
there's no difference. If it's all single, then it's all single.
That's just one of my
Yeah.
concerns.
All right.
We have a 3-story apartment complex in Salinas.
Oh,
And
don't compare us to Salinas.
but-
I've seen your projects. I've looked around. Is this now the outside? Is it going to look like the ones that are back behind Buena Vista? Is that the same kind of look?
the Buena Vista apartments,
Buena Vista
the one that we're
Apartments,
building right
the
now.
county
Right,
that you
the
did
county,
in the county.
Um,
Well, you can see what those look like.
It
I
looks,
think they're
it looks the
different.
same to me.
I
That's
meant to go
another
there today.
concern that I had because
They-
I didn't really care for
I didn't care
that.
for them either,
you
but
know,
this is better. I think this is better.
a picture, it never looks, a picture, you can show me all the pictures you want. It never looks the same, when you get down to, I live in that neighborhood. My aunt and uncle owned a house right there. I grew up in that neighborhood, the Alvarez's, John and Dolores. I know a lot of people that live there. So I have to, the building on the corner, the 3-story, I wasn't a big fan, but I wanted to do something different. You don't know how much heck I have caught. Why did you put that? Why did you let them put those 3, different colors and all? So,
you're talking about the one in the corner.
right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Gateway
No,
Place.
on Buena Vista Road.
Are you talking about Buena Vista?
No. I'm talking about the one on the corner
talking
there.
about-
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the corner.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about the,
Also
if it,
Buena
yeah,
Vista.
Buena Vista. If it looks like the ones on Buena Vista, that's what I'm
I
not
like
a
the
fan.
corner.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. And
Of
to
Buena
me,
Vista.
it looks like that, on the outside. I went down. I watched that project. I live on Mapleton, 2 blocks over. I watched that project from the first time you guys did sewer to, the guy was over there cutting the lawn the other day. I went Tuesday, and I went and visited the other homes, that you're building there.
On Line Street.
Yes, yeah, at the end of the line. I don't know. I want it to be. What I look at when I see senior housing is that beautiful development right there on Rancho Drive. That is beautiful. The people love it in there. I know several people that live there. They're so happy, that living there in that little, spot. I think you're right. We don't need all the guest parks, so I'm not going to push that. But I want that done right. I don't want. And then another thing, you guys have us. There's a deadline, end of the month. So if we don't say yes, you may lose this whole project. I don't like being pressured like that.
Neither do we, but we don't
Yeah.
have state deadlines.
I know,
We try
but
to
you
meet
guys
them.
have been doing this for 37 years, so you should have, had all this 6 months ago or something.
No,
I mean,
we couldn't. We
well,
couldn't.
I don't know, but
We didn't
when
buy
you
the
say
property
I've been
until
doing this
6
for,
months ago.
I've been cutting meat for 37 years. If I don't have the proper, shame on me. That's my, I can't.
Yeah, there's different things that have to line up. The financing definitely has to line up. There's layers of financing, including the city's financing, which my understanding, some of it may have been at risk because if they don't use it within a certain time frame, There's Section 8. The Housing Authority has Section 8 funding. There's the city's designation as a rural community also is another concern that we had, because right now we're allowed to apply under what's referred to as a rural set-aside and a rural designation. It's what less competitive is if the city of Hollister loses that designation, which is likely to happen soon, then we're competing with much more urban areas. And those urban areas, communities tend to have a lot more money, versus I think right now we have a commitment of about $1.5 million through the city. Well, some of the large communities that we have to compete with, urban areas, they're going to bring in $3 to $5 million, and it's tough to compete for those tax credits when they have a lot more local dollars than what we're able to get through Hollister. So there's a lot of issues like that we have to contend with.
I understand you're thinking about the seniors and perhaps in a wheelchair. You're worried about the electric going out, and it's something we think about because we have one 3-story building in Salinas and several 2-story buildings. But I think what your chairperson was trying to say is if you're in a wheelchair and the electricity goes out, whether you're on the 2nd floor or the 3rd floor, you've still got a problem either way. And in one of our buildings, we have built, actually, and I think we have it here too on this upstairs patio, the city of Salinas calls for something called an area of refuge, where you have a place for people in a wheelchair to go if the electricity goes out. I mean, if the electricity goes out and we know it's going to be out, we'll get a generator, right, so we can run things. But if, let's say, there's some thing that happens that no one can predict, and you need to evacuate people, well, then we have it set up for that. I mean, remember, we have on-site managers. We have a place there. We train them where they can take their wheelchair, or if they're just fragile in how they walk, park it there, and then somebody will come and get them. I mean, but really, to solve the issue of elevation for somebody who's old and can't move easily, the only way to solve it is to build only a 1-story building. Well, when you do that, you don't achieve any of these housing goals that the city has. We can't build 1-story apartment buildings. So I understand what you're saying. It's something that worries us, and we manage. That's why we have on-site managers, because we don't want that stuff happening, but sometimes things happen. We can't deny that.
Commissioner Alvarez. I'm Sonny Flores with San Benito County Community Services Development Corporation. We're partnering up with Chispa here, and I just want to talk about your concerns about the structure. Chispa did host several meetings showing the site with different plans, the way the building may have started. This has been the ultimate design that the people in the neighborhood who attended the meetings wanted to see. So that's how it ended up being this. They wanted to see more of that craftsman style closer to the existing neighborhood. And as far as the 3 stories, it's not the 4-story like the Gateway Palms is. That is a lot taller. And it was set back to the 2-foot section, so it would meet with the area a lot more. So the neighborhood, the folks in the neighborhood did attend the meetings. Seniors did attend the meetings, and they did find this building to be acceptable for the neighborhood and for their needs. The walkway on West Side Boulevard, I understand that's a big concern, and I know folks will typically take the path of least resistance, but we do want to make sure that they do use the Line Street, and it has been discussed that would be the main flow to the bus stop, which is down towards the end of Line Street. So I think those are some of your concerns. So I think that's how we've addressed them, and the public was very supportive of the building itself, the 3 floors, and just the site and the design in general. And I mean, being that we don't have anyone here in opposition, that just shows that the design was what the neighborhood was looking for.
Was there any officials or maybe Mickey Luna or myself invited? I know. I was never invited.
I know Mickey has attended. Mickey has attended. A few functions. She has toured the other sites, and I believe. Yeah, and we attended her function. It was presented to at Jovenes. The lunch meeting, I believe, they actually picked the name. The seniors actually picked the name from a raffle. So there was a lot of senior involvement in the design and coming up with that, and they were comfortable with the 3 floors. And I know you're concerned about going down to the 3 floors. Like they said, the terrace is a large section, so if there was ever an emergency and someone needed to cut from the 3rd floor, they can stop, take a break, pause on that 2nd floor terrace before having to go further down. But I think that's that's the biggest thing. The neighborhood was supportive of the design, and the seniors were supportive of even having the 3 floors. Their number one concern is having the housing.
Right. But what I'm trying to get at is, I would like to see, if it's in my area, I would like to be invited to those meetings.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people, especially residents, they don't know what kind of power they have.
Yeah.
So if you throw something out, they don't know that they can't say, I don't like that, I don't want that. They don't know that they can be. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. No,
is to their voice. They won't come to the city council meetings because they're afraid sometimes. A lot of people. You know how our culture is. I'm going to say our culture because I'm Hispanic, and they're afraid to talk. And so I'm their voice. And if I'm concerned about those things, I know they're concerned about those things.
I'm sorry if you were unaware of our community meeting. I mean, that makes me feel, like I was deficient somehow.
Yeah, Gabriel's on the board too.
But this is how we did it. We took the range of people within, and I can't remember the feet, but the distance that a planning commission would be noticed. That's the notice we delivered door to door, individual invitations to this meeting. So we made an effort. We informed the city that we were having this. We were talking to staff, obviously. So I don't know that we talked to you guys individually, but we assumed everybody knew. I mean, there was a lot of discussion of it for a while. We had the meeting. We held our contest to name the building. That was also at Bingo and at Community, and we put the things out. Gabriel made repeated, offers to show people plans. So we had the meeting that we invited everybody door to door with invitations, not just on Mine Street, that whole whatever it is that you guys notice for your meetings.
300 feet.
Thank you, yeah. That maybe a little further. And then we went through the city. Mickey Luna did ask if she could come tour one of our buildings, as did Carson Clower. So we gave them tours.
Who's your representative? Who's your Mickey?
Yeah. So I can't tell who says what to whom here, but we made an effort.
Just to follow up, Commissioner Alvarez, we also sent out the 300-foot notification to the residents, and we also understand that Chispa staff was able to meet one-on-one with some of the people that were some of the residents in the area that had a little bit more of wanted to know a little bit more detail on the project, and our understanding is that they try to accommodate as best as possible to that, and we know that that's been your concern all along. And
there's especially one that I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
and I made sure that she was fine with it, and along with Gabriel.
Great.
I made sure Gabriel had spoken with her because she's a. She probably did, but she has a vested, interest in that area. So, I like to, keep.
Was Mrs. Dable happy? Because she's a peach, Mrs. Dable. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
The covering. I think we should have some covering at least in front. I'm dropping off my aunt there. It's raining like it rained last, at least some kind of covering over the parking spaces.
Well, I'm struggling with that too as well. It's what? Over there on Park Street, did those have covers?
Yeah.
They all covered parking, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the no covered, but I thought it might be a cost thing. Is it just a backing in thing?
It wasn't going to have cover, but they were able to get it solar. And I think that's when they made the expansion, because it's solar over the parking spaces.
Right.
So
that wouldn't benefit you guys?
Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have solar on the roof.
Okay.
It's not enough. I should say, backing up 2 steps, they're going to pay all the utilities for the tenants. So we pay their water, and we will pay their electricity, and electricity is going to heat the building, run everything. That we're not going to have gas, because you can be more efficient with electricity. So if it turns out that we can't get enough solar up there to do what we need to do to make it a self-sufficient building, well, then we would probably build some solar structures. That's what they call it. you're allowed to do that without even talking to the city attorney.
Your other projects have covered parking or not?
No, we try not to.
The people like that? Do they like that?
Yeah, we've moved away from covered parking for the reason, one reason that Dana mentioned is people run into them, but it's really expensive to make them look really nice.
Yeah.
And I've been through some of our developments where we were required to have the covered parking,
Mm-hmm.
and then developments that we don't. And I think to myself, I'm glad we advocated not to have covered parking because the apartment complexes that do not have that covered parking, they look much nicer.
Cleaner.
What we're able to do is we're able to add more landscape and the
Okay.
green. That really makes it look nicer. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can show me apartment complex with covered parking looks really nice. There are very few. I've seen a couple, but it's like very, very expensive.
Go down
It's
to
on
Park Street.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They
But
did a
it's probably
nice
gonna
job
be, it's
on
probably
that
going to be
one.
really expensive.
The
Like,
new
very
one that they
expensive.
did recently.
Yeah, because I know it's.
I like it.
I know,
I've seen
but
some. I've seen a
it
couple.
looks to me it looks nice. Go down there and look at it.
I just
it
think
looks
cars get
really
too
nice,
hot outside,
you know?
that's all.
And
I
then
just think
I'm
they
having
get
trouble.
hot in the sun.
Somebody in a wheelchair, wants to, how long it takes to get the wheelchair out of the trunk, set the wheelchair or get the person in the, seniors.
We don't have the handicap space right near the door, we have, that's what nobody would want to sign up. So we don't have an easy access. Now, able to go to the lawn.
But if it rained like it was raining, last year, I mean, I'm just thinking of my parents, putting my parents in there. That's what I'm trying to think of. All those little, those would be my concerns.
Okay.
So
I was surprised to see the no cover. Abraham,
Yeah.
Darn, forgot my question. Palm Court, does that have covered parking?
Gateway Palms.
Do you recall?
Gateway
The
Palms.
Gateway Palms?
Gateway Palms
Does it
has
cover
solar.
it? It
Has
does?
has solar on some of the parking.
So they have some
Purchase.
covered parking?
They do. Yes.
Would have been nice to have a little bit.
We may, if we can't get enough solar.
Maybe
on
not
our-
all of it, but I think AC's right. I really do. I just think cars get overheated when they're out in the blazing sun. But we have mild temperature here too, so. Kind. Maybe
do?
not this week, but come on, how many 100-degree days do we have in
we're
the
talking
year?
about
About three?
You have to keep remembering they're seniors.
I know they're seniors.
They're very delicate.
They're slow.
You know.
Oh, wait a minute. There's
Moving.
over.
I'm 60 now, so I'm getting there.
Yeah, and I'm 55. I may live there. I want somewhere nice to go. Okay, that's what I'm.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right.
I I'm not. I don't want to be like. But these are my concerns, and I wish we would have had more time to address them. That's my.
So, then are you done with your comments? And everybody done with their comments? I can close the public hearing?
Sure.
Okay. So having no further public comment, we'll close the public hearing at 7:07. I'm going to bring it back to commission level for any other discussion or a motion. Either way.
Yeah, like a little bit of discussion. Since we decided that we don't have any guests visiting our seniors, and we made the concession, I think we can come to an agreement maybe that there's a loading zone with a covered area. Because as we know, these tenants come and go, unfortunately, quite frequently, or maybe they don't. But to give this property some appeal would be like an atrium or some area where, a moving truck can pull into, and maybe it's 2 spaces wide, it's covered. You're going to go pick up your grandma, take her to dinner, versus, her waiting for you on the curb. That'd be
And the dial-a-ride will also go inside there.
Okay.
Might be able to utilize that.
But
I
they
would
won't
agree
know
with
a
that,
spot.
Commissioner Rosa.
Well, thank you. We wanted to make sure that there's an accessible area, landing zone.
I really know the need for this project. It's not my favorite one aesthetically, but I think it'll look better than it probably does on paper, and the landscaping will soften it. And if they're happy with that color, then that's what they want in their neighborhood, then I can go with that. I really appreciate you accepting hearing my comments. and being receptive to anything you might be able to adjust just to make it look a little bit better, a little more modern. Okay. That'd be awesome. Chris? Any other comments?
I'm really struggling with this whole.
What's the resolution number?
Madam Chair, the resolution number is 2017-15.
I'll make a motion that we approve Planning Commission Resolution PC 2017-18, approving site and architectural number 2017, the number's gone over there, 2017-2 with the findings and conditions, and in incorporating what comments you can, as stated in the staff report and the findings.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if you may, just as a summary, additional detail and articulation on the building, including at the end of the trellis,
Yes.
instead of a straight
Thank
cut. The railings on the balcony, if possible. The garage door along the line street elevation to have either French doors or more like an old town type of feel to it.
And the maturest trees that they can afford to put in.
Trees, maturity of the trees, as you mentioned, and also an area, as mentioned by Commissioner Johnny, for like a landing area, like an atrium, covered area for loading and unloading, and also, Madam Chair Lenore, if your condition can also include your motion could also include condition number 52 on the resolution. Basically indicates that it's a condition for properties within the flood zone. We're almost certain that this property is not within the flood zone. It's not. So all we want to indicate is that your motion indicates that condition number 2 is if in the flood zone, then
I don't think it
you're
is,
required. Correct.
if I recall.
Yeah, it's an infill zone. It's not. So just we want to make
so
sure
the
that
possible deletion of 52.
correct.
So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
I have a second with approval there.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay?
That project has been there for a long time. My father was on CSDC, and they were going to build apartments 25 years ago. They've owned that property, so I'm just struggling with. I want to. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. I want this project to look beautiful. Okay, I want you to promise me you'll do everything you can. Okay, Sonny, I'm going to hold you to it. All right, I will say yes, but please take care of that area.
Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you to my fellow commissioners for your good discussion and your great comments.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
And congratulations and thank you for bringing this much needed use, senior housing, to the city of Hollister, and I really hope you're going to do more. Have a good evening. Thank you, Sonny. Nice to meet you, Paul.
Thank you.
No, I've been to your buildings.
Okay, just try to close this out if I have to. We have no other further, no new business, no business. Planning Commission reports?
Yeah. Did I just step on your toes? Okay. Were you going to say something? Okay.
Oh, well, let's give him a minute here.
Okay.
Give him
Yeah,
1
right.
minute here.
Not yet. I'll be later.
Madam Chair, if you may, I don't know if you want to put planning department reports. It's not on the agenda, but if you want to put it after or before, let us know. Whenever you're
Oh, it's not on there.
Yeah.
Then you don't have any, do you?
We have one.
Okay.
We just want to, but if you want to put it before or after, it's up to you.
Could we get David Dubois? Kept him in there a long time. Sorry, David. You got to. Johnny was talking too much.
Johnny,
What can I say?
all of a sudden
Just
you become loquacious.
Okay, so if we could move on, we would like to wrap it up. Thank you. Okay, so do we have any planning commission reports?
reading the philosophy of Immanuel Kant. Right there.
Oh, did planning department reports come first?
Planning department?
Planning department reports, please.
Okay. We just wanted to make sure, Madam Chair Lenore and Commissioners, that you all received calls from us these last couple of weeks. This, as you know, the City Council passed a resolution essentially to not have any City Council meetings in July, and as well as no Planning Commission meetings or Airport Commission meetings or any other committee meetings in the month of July. Some of the whereases on that resolution was because the city's getting ready for the rally, processing all these temporary use permits, all the
I know how much work it is for you guys
Yes.
because I lived and breathed it.
Yes.
It does make it really tricky when you're doing both things.
Yeah, so City Council in February passed a resolution essentially not having any meetings in July. I'm not sure if it was because of that, but normally in June it gets pretty heavy because people are wanting to get their entitlements. And so this project was one of them. And we also have a few others that are in the pipeline. So therefore, we had called all of you. Just wanted to make sure that we have at least a quorum. And we do have a special meeting on the 29th. You should be receiving the agenda. If not tomorrow, Monday at the latest. We do have some items of high, all of them are, anything that comes through our department, we consider it high importance, whether it be a fence extension or 49 senior family housing. I mean, they're all important. We try to provide that service, but we just want to make sure that, and I know that we've received
you guys
confirmation.
on next Thursday?
No.
I will be.
I will be.
You have
Okay.
3 of us and maybe Gabriel.
Okay, very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Okay, so
And I'll announce right now I won't be here in August.
in August.
Sorry, I explained to you.
Yes.
I won't be at the August meeting.
Very well.
So
Very well.
I just going on vacation, and that's when it had to happen.
Very well.
I didn't do it on purpose. August is my vacation month. When I think July too, they were thinking that the kids are out of school and the families go on vacation in July. Unfortunately for us, it's usually August. Okay, Planning Commission reports. Anybody?
Yeah, I need to announce my resignation. Unfortunately, my job is relocating out of the state, so
You're leaving?
it'll be kind of hard to make this commission meeting.
Oh, man.
It's been a pleasure.
I really enjoyed working
thank
with you. I'm
Appreciate
sorry to
it.
hear that.
Well, I finally got the feedback I was looking for. Joking.
Doggone it.
Yeah, I really
I was
appreciate
enjoying
it.
you.
It's a difficult time
Yeah.
here, so I appreciate it.
Well,
to
knowing
feel your ropes.
Carson, he'll find another qualified applicant.
I'm sure he'll be more
Awesome.
qualified.
Okay. Well, I'll miss you. When are you going to be done? Are you done now?
I got to be done now.
You're done now.
Yeah.
Well, happy trails to you.
Thank you. We'll be
Good
thinking
luck.
about
We'll
you
miss
guys.
you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your
Thank you for stepping up for your community.
participation.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah,
very much. It's been
we
a
need
pleasure.
more people just like you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's why you won't be here next month. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
What state are you moving to?
Florida.
Oh, I'd like to visit there. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Let's see what else we got. Well, we're going to have no more commission reports. We will adjourn the meeting at 7:16. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.